I guess this will be the intro part. Let's get right into it. We have on very special guest Ian Begley. Needs no introduction. It's a good show.
Pronounce Bootum, Bootum,
Bootum, yeah. But they make cause glitches too if I do that. Welcome back, everyone, to a brand new episode of the Per 36 Spot podcast. Today,
and Bootum, we say our most special episode.
We always
episodes, but I really am truly saying this is definitely our most special episode.
It's very special. And we had on Chris Copeland, so that's high praise. We have on Daily. Sorry, what am I saying? We have on the beat writer for the New York Knicks, and some people forget also the Nets. For SNY, host of the Putback, Ian Begley. Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Fellas, what's happening? It's great to be here. Thanks for having me. So this is funny, to me at least. So I always see Bootum's tweets, and I like them because he likes to share his thoughts unfiltered. But I never clicked on your profile pic before, and so now I see what you look like, and I clicked on the profile pic, and I see it's you. I always just assume, when you're scrolling, you see a small version of the picture. I always assumed your picture was Kuzminskis.
I was just about to say, did you think it was Mindaugas?
Yeah, always. I was like, oh, that's funny. He's got a Kuzminskis picture from his profile, but there you are.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I have gotten. That's not even a Knicks slant, because I get people who don't follow the NBA at all. They'll happen to see a picture of Kuzminskis and then send it to me and think it looks like me. I don't know. Kuzminskis is one of my favorite players, so I take it as an honor to be compared.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
That's funny. Now playing for Lokomotiv Kuban.
Now wait. So just in terms of how crazy your past few weeks have been, is it weird getting right back into me and Bootum were just talking about this, the fact that there's a basketball game on Friday seems like the craziest thing ever. Does it feel like we're at this point of the year at all, or?
Yeah, because usually you get through free agency, it's mid-July, late July, and then it's kind of quiet. You can count on it being kind of quiet for at least a month. And then you get into pre-training camp and then training camp, and you get going again. There's been no break this year because of how everything is stretched with with COVID and everything else. So yeah, it's been weird. This was a truncated period with the draft and free agency. So that was nuts. And now here we are, ready to roll the balls out again. So it's been interesting, just as it has been for everybody else who's lived through this pandemic.
And you guys right now, you're zooming into training camp, but you're not there in person.
Right. Yeah, it's all over Zoom calls.
So it's a different type of perspective too.
Yeah, it's different because, I like being there, and, you can crack a joke in a scrum with the player, coach. You can, just shoot the breeze with them afterward a little bit. So you don't have that now, and so you don't have that kind of opportunity to build rapport and relationship. So it's different. But listen, I'm very fortunate to have my health. My family's healthy, thank goodness. And we feel very fortunate, regardless of whether we have to do Zoom calls or we're in person. Very fortunate to be doing this job and to have the health of everybody, my loved ones and my friends.
Yeah.
So to talk about, you talked about my infamous Twitter account.
Yes. You got me, man.
Just about to say, we have to. I mean, I'm way more of a recluse on Twitter, but I see everything, and that we'll get into right now. That was great. That
was tremendous. Didn't that make real GM and it got picked up on some of the sites? Right?
I mean, it got. I can kind of just lay out what happened. So before Ian Begley broke the famous Jacob Evans news, right? That's who it was. Yeah, I broke. Well, it actually wasn't me. It was a two-pronged thing. Hubert made a tweet from a soccer beat reporter parody, Fabrizio Romano saying Trier got signed to Fenerbahce, I think, or just
Fenerbahce.
And then I took the liberty of, during my editing class, instead of paying attention, I put together a fake Fenerbahce account retweeted it with like a Photoshop, like welcome to welcome to the team in their native language. And I wasn't doing it to like I was just trying to like trick everyone. Honestly, I was just trying to like be annoying to Alonzo Trier. I was hoping for like an Alonzo Trier like quote tweet, and it said I got like the entire Knicks beat.
Well,
and I
so I was
feel
gonna say,
bad because
Ian,
I wasn't trying to like
it wasn't
get
just you. I think, didn't you get Bondi too, Boot?
It was
I mean,
everyone. Bondi.
Yeah, a
It
bunch
was
of people
Popper.
retweeted it.
There might have been, I think, a little Berman action. Yeah, I
You
got
all of us. You got all of us.
And like, I'm sorry, like I wasn't like
Dude,
trying
you
to,
don't have to apologize.
do an expose on like anyone or anything. It happened, and I felt so bad that you like had to apologize to Fenerbahce and Alonzo Trier. But
listen, you got us. Congrats to you. Hat tip to you. The thing that was great though was, so like Steve Popper and Bondi and whoever else, I just clicked on the team page that you created. And, you know, I didn't look at the details and it looked legit. And then after, you know, I realized it was fake, I went back to the team page and you had some like goofy quotes like who's the team captain that you quoted, and it was like,
so I thought, because like I actually like I like kind of
it was
know
Ian
the teams
Begley, right?
anyway.
It was
Ian Begley. I thought that quote was going to give it away. The quote was like Ian Begley being reported. It was him being interviewed in a Wizards shirt. So like, like it was you know, it wasn't that foolproof. And it was him saying like, I was bust too, like Alonzo. I was also bust, so I think it'd be great for him. And like, you know, I don't think he would call him or Alonzo a bust.
No,
well,
so,
imagine how crazy this could be. I mean, with this year, way crazier things have happened, and we just saw Lamar Peters go to Turkey. Imagine if in like 2 months we see a notification that Alonzo Trier's actually signed in the Turkish Super League.
I mean,
the other thing that was good was, like you said, or whoever the fake reporter said, you know, the Nets and the Lakers had given consideration, and that obviously because of his agent Rich Paul and then Kevin Durant, you know, everybody kind of speculated those two teams were going to be interested. Anyway, so well done, very well.
Yeah, that was on Hubert's. Yeah.
Now.
Hubert. So Hubert is a different.
Hubert did the Fabrizio Romano. I was the team account.
I would say
did the team account.
Hubert is like a real Twitter troll. Bootum kind of lies on the plane of a foot in both.
But didn't Hubert also say like there was something before the draft where he got a bunch of people because he said like Knicks and the Warriors are talking.
Yes. So no, there was he did the fake tweet. It was like the Knicks are gonna give up like the 8th pick in Mitchell Robinson to move up to 2, and people freaked out.
Well, a lot of people had been speculating that already.
Right.
But yeah, after all that, Trier could end up overseas. Like it's training camp, he's still unsigned. Like it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know where he ends up, but he's probably just waiting it out to see if, you know, injury opens up a spot or see if, you know, people make cuts. And because, you know, he's talented. He's a talented scorer. And if I'm a team and I have a chance to take a look at him, get him in my program for a few months, I would do it. That's just me. I think, you know, he's confident, talented, obviously has his flaws, needs work, but if I could take a flyer on him, I would.
Yeah, I mean, do you think it's like a little overstated, the kind of the knock on him that he's like not a great, you know, teammate or whatever?
I do because I mean, listen, everyone at this level, at that level, you have a confidence about yourself. For some people, it borders on arrogance, and you know, you carry yourself that way. You don't make it to that level without that confidence in yourself. So, you know, listen, the stuff that I'd heard, I didn't think it was that bad. I probably hear like 15% of what actually happened, so I can only base my judgments on that. But I do think it was a little bit overblown. Yeah, and I think in the right situation, you know, he could be a valuable piece to it.
Well,
He's still 24, you know, he's a very efficient scorer. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm surprised he's not signed, honestly.
I kind of want to take this where some reports have been coming out lately, especially with the season coming up. A guy like Mitchell Robinson, who me and
Yeah.
Bootum are the biggest Mitchell Robinson fans that there are, and we are huge proponents of him being a long-term Knick. But over kind of the past month or so, you started to see some rumblings. Like, obviously, there's people reading into, okay, he's gone through 6 agents. There's people reading into that Team USA report where it was like maybe because Van Gundy and Tibbs are close, saying that, oh, he left with the knee soreness and people were upset that he got there late. And then there was even the kind of more nuanced thing where I think Tibbs was asked a question about Mitchell and he answered it, but he kind of leewayed it into talking about Nerlens Noel. And now you can speak more to this, but we're kind of seeing it shake out and we can kind of assume that Nerlens is going to be starting at the start of the season. Do you think that there's some credence to that, the hesitance coming around Mitch, or do you think that we can still believe that he's a real long-term piece of this team?
I mean, I don't think that the Knicks are necessarily hiding anything or Thibodeau's hiding anything here. I think if you just listen to his answers every time he's asked about Mitch, he's talked about the upside and what he's shown already on defense could be an elite rim protector. But he's also said that he's got work to do and room to grow. And he mentioned, daily approach to practice and the idea that you need to bring it every day. And so, Mitch is young still. So yeah. I don't think that Thibodeau was saying anything controversial. He was just kind of laying out, stating how, the organization, any organization would feel about a young player who maybe hadn't matured to the point where he was consistent every day, giving the same effort every day. Yeah. And that's what they want for Mitchell. And I think, like all of the young players who are coming back with this team, who weren't drafted or acquired by Leon Rose, William Wesley, Brock Aller, and that group, this is kind of a show me year. It's a show me year for Mitchell. It's a show me year for Kevin Knox. It's a show me year for Frank Ntilikina, RJ Barrett, everybody. And I'm not suggesting that, if it doesn't go perfectly for Mitchell or RJ, that their futures are in jeopardy. I don't think that's the case. But whenever a regime changes, Leon Rose isn't wedded to any of these young guys. He's not invested in their success because his group didn't draft them. So you are, your performance is going to speak for itself for Mitchell and for everybody else who's coming back.
Well,
speaking of, sorry.
Yeah. I was just kind of, you go.
All right, sorry. No, speaking of that, as you go through those guys, you didn't mention a fan favorite who hasn't even played yet to be like a fan favorite.
Ignas?
Actually.
Are you going to go to Ignas?
Yeah, Ignas Brazdeikis.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, we're all getting nervous about our second rounder who's never played more than 10 NBA minutes at a time. We're all quaking our boots.
And he averaged over 20 in Westchester last year.
In Westchester.
Yeah.
Do you think he could be the odd man out for Michael Kidd-Gilchrist? What do you think the future of Ignas holds?
Yeah, if I was a betting man, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist is going to end up on the roster if I'm betting money today. So,
because William Wesley's nephew, right? That's
yeah, he's a strong connection to William Wesley. But let's not charge him in that way because he's also a defender, and this is such a young team, and it's crazy to think of him as a veteran presence, but he would be if he made the team. But yeah, certainly the William Wesley connection, Kentucky, all of that. So if I'm betting, I'm betting on him taking one of these 15 spots, and then how do you open up that roster spot? Iggy is an obvious candidate. He falls under that category of not being drafted by Leon Rose and his group. And, you wait to see what happens with Amari Spellman because, the Knicks, I think when they made that trade, they saw him as a player who maybe with the coaching staff that they have, they could get a little bit more out of him. They could help him get into better condition. So I think they're taking a bit of a flyer on Spellman. And I think if Spellman, shows some flashes, plays well in the preseason, my guess is that he has a shot at making the final roster. Obviously, if Brazdeikis gets minutes, plays well, he'll make the final roster. But I don't think any decision has been made definitively yet. That's just my read on it. I could be wrong. Maybe we'll get a decision 20 minutes from now. But I think that, Spellman will get a chance to show what he can do during training camp and the preseason, even if it's not in games, if it's in practices where the coaches are watching scrimmages. I think they're going to take a look at it.
Maybe it's happening now and we're holding you up.
True. I mean, you have such a unique perspective specifically on this kind of regime, you having kind of been here to see so much change within the organization. While you're obviously this is a different off season because you're not physically there the same way. Can you already see kind of differences in just the organizational wide kind of maneuverings?
I think one thing you saw this offseason was restraint. This group showed restraint. They could have, spent a ton of money on Gordon Hayward, or they could have given up with assets, significant assets, for Chris Paul, especially if you look at what Phoenix ended up giving up for him. And, they could have made a deal for Russell Westbrook, but they decided to hold on to their cap space. Now, they had interest in Malik Beasley. I think – I don't know exactly what the breakdown was between the Knicks and Beasley, but there was strong interest there. So maybe, if things went differently, he'd be on the books for, 4 years, whatever it would be. And we're having a different conversation. But the way it all happened, they have their cap space moving forward. They have these picks going forward. They don't have any long-term commitments yet. So in that one respect, they've kind of kept their word. But also, if you look at the last couple of years under Steve Mills and Scott Perry, they essentially did the same thing. I mean, obviously.
So we were just about to say, like, that's kind of the thing. It's like, okay, we can laud them for the restraint, but like,
right.
Even if you look the year before, it's like we were all saying, oh, like the Portis Alfred deals, like, okay, they're only 1 year. Like,
sure.
It's kind of
right.
it's a obviously like a good standard, but it's a low bar in that sense.
Very low bar, exactly. And well, the problem with Mills and Perry obviously is they took a big swing when they traded Porzingis to open up that cap space because they thought they were going to get 2 stars. That didn't happen. That was their big move, and it didn't work out. So you really judge them on that. So I say that to say with Leon Rose and his group, we haven't seen their big move yet. We haven't seen their big commitment salary-wise. We haven't seen them turn the cap space and the draft picks into what they hope is their centerpiece or a strong complementary player. So until that move happens, it's hard to judge. I think, though, that, it kind of seems this way always early on in Knick regimes that, people are kind of rowing in the same direction. And I think there was a little bit of a disagreement on some moves in this offseason. Maybe disagreement is too strong. Some people wanted to go different ways than it actually ended up going in the offseason. I think that happens in any organization. The important thing, though, is that everybody kind of remains on the same page throughout, what's going to be a tough year this year. And so we have to wait and see on that. But at least now it seems like there's a decent amount of alignment among the organization going into the season.
Now, do you get the sense that Obi was kind of unanimously loved throughout both the scouting department, Perrin, Perry, and obviously we know how much Leon Rose is a Obi guy with his son being Obi's one of his main agents. Do you get the sense that was definitely a more collective than Leon just saying we're taking Obi?
Yeah, I think, I can't speak to specifics like who Scott Perry wanted, who Thibodeau wanted, who William Wesley wanted. But I think people at the top wanted Obi Toppin. They thought that they'd be fortunate if they fell to him. He did. I would be surprised if every scout and front office person and coach felt the exact same way. I mean, it's only natural for there to be disagreements when you have so many different people kind of analyzing the situation. That being said, I mean, you look at that, you look at the Toppin pick, you look at the Quickley pick. Those are 2 moves that we're going to be able to kind of pass judgment on. Maybe not year one, but because they're both rookies, but over time, those are big bets that Leon Rose and his group made. And if they work out, they're going to look smart, but forget about them making a big splash or bringing the star. The Toppin pick and the Quickley pick is something that we're going to be able to analyze because, Toppin, yes, he fell to them. That was a fortuitous thing, especially if you look at the mock drafts. But, you know, CAA, he's a CAA player. So that automatically opens them up to second guessing. Quickley, Kentucky guy, he wasn't projected at that, you know, late first round real estate. So that opens them up to second guessing too. If it doesn't work out, if it works out, they look really smart and nobody cares about, you know, their agency or where.
So I have to admit I'm a little biased with this because I'm a huge Kentucky fan. And so I've been a proponent. Well, so I got super lucky. Now I'm just they're combined.
The same team.
Yeah, but it's also an issue because now it's like, okay, like I don't want to start to not like some of my favorite Kentucky players of all time. But I've been a huge proponent of Immanuel Quickley with that late first round pick for months. And so the fact that actually happened, especially when you looked at mock drafts and like Kevin O'Connor, for example, had a mid-40s and people had him a mid to late second rounder. I'm a huge Immanuel Quickley believer in, and besides the player, I'm a huge believer in the person. I kind of want to get your sense of, because he's not a pure point guard, and that's probably his biggest weakness is his playmaking in that sense. And especially with Tibbs is kind of known for not giving rookies kind of that leeway. Do you see him playing a real role in the season, or do you think it's kind of he's going to be in the background just waiting his turn?
The thing with Thibodeau and like his history of not playing rookies, he's going to have to play rookies this year, I think, because, you know, the way the rotation could break down, maybe not have to play rookies, but he's going to have to play young players, and he's not going to be able to trust the young players because he doesn't know them that well. So I have to think because of that, I think he'll give the nod to Toppin or Quickley because those are the players that the regime has drafted, and they're invested in them in a different way than they are the young guys coming back. So I say that to say I think Quickley, there's a chance that he will get minutes. I don't think he'll be buried. You know, obviously it depends on what happens in training camp. Thibodeau has said again and again that I'm going to play the guys that give me the best chance to win and give us the best chance to compete every night. If, you know, Quickley, I think what he does bring is a lot of things that the Knicks have lacked for so long. So I think that that's certainly a positive, but it's hard for me to project, you know, where he's going to end up in the rotation. A lot of it depends on what's happening in these practices now and what's going to happen in the preseason.
Yeah, with kind of that type of stuff with the picks being a little projected higher than they're projected to. Like you say, if it works out, no one's going to care. But I was thinking the other day, well, really yesterday, how back to when Leon Rose was still an agent, screwing over the Knicks by making like us pick Marty Collins and Renato Bachman in like the first round when no one expected it. So like that's kind of the vibes it brings up a little bit. So it's a little bit scary. But again, if it works out, no one's going to care.
Not only is no one going to care, if it works out, they look like geniuses.
Right.
But thinking back to previous regimes that looked nice, people kind of forget that like every single regime, people are like, things are different now. Since Phil Jackson, things have been different. Because since then, we have still not traded away a first-round pick. Like everything is still good. But that obviously ended disastrously. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that because, you know, you talk about how I'm not afraid to speak my mind. I really respected after the whole Porzingis exit interview debacle, you kind of made a statement being like, it's ridiculous the Knicks think like this and the Melo stuff is going to like hurt their rep when, you know, they're responsible for, you know, a lot of the dysfunction. Like they're the ones that cause it.
They try to spin stuff sometimes. And in that instance, they're desperate to spin it in their favor. And it was absurd. So anyway, you can go ahead and ask a question, but sometimes I think they have a history of kind of getting themselves in trouble by trying to shape a message after the fact, and then the message shaping doesn't go well. Like when they said the Knicks decided to cancel their meeting with Kawhi Leonard in free agency, you know, it made sense because they shouldn't waste their time, but like, you know, worded a different way or you know, kind of say that the Knicks knew it was unrealistic, so they decided to they appreciated Kawhi being willing to meet with them. When when you say the Knicks are canceling a meeting with Kawhi, it just makes it kind of sound silly. Anyway, I digress. You go ahead and ask your question.
No, I mean, I guess that's really. It's kind of, I don't know. I don't have like a specific question in mind. Just
It's also, I mean, also like we more are just saying like you managed to really walk the line beautifully of being able to be optimistic about the future of the team, but also honest about when they're being disingenuous or when they're trying to spin something. And especially with the wide range of New York media, how are you kind of able to walk that line so perfectly?
I really appreciate you saying that. First of all, thank you. I don't know.
Of course.
My kind of guiding principle is just kind of write what I see and, write what I hear that I think is legitimate. And I try not to kind of, sometimes it's hard to avoid in our business, but I try to remain objective on all sides, players, teams, everybody, league, players association. It's hard though, because, relationships are everything.
That's what I mean. It's like, that like with either side, I mean, you can be upsetting someone on the team side, you can be upsetting fans, you can be upsetting players with a report, but you've done such a good job of I like being so genuine that I don't think that people ever take things you say as personally in that sense as maybe when other beat reporters kind of inflame certain situations.
Well, again, thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. It means a lot. I think just if you all I do is try to present the information as accurately as I can based on what I know. And I think if you do that, even if it makes person X, team X, paints them not in the greatest light, how mad can they really be if it's accurate? Because, I'm not like making a huge leap based on circumstance. I'm just try to state things as they are. And I think that's all it is. And so if somebody's going to be like it's happened before, somebody's been angry and has stopped, dealing with me, and that's fine. That's just a part of the deal. But I think my guiding kind of principle is just to be straightforward and kind of call it like I see it. And if people get upset and they don't want to deal with me anymore, that's just kind of the byproduct of it, and I would live with it.
All right, so I don't want to keep you too much longer because we're already a little bit over.
We know you have this is your relaxed day.
Thank you, fellas. Yeah, my son is upstairs yelling, so but I could chat for a couple more minutes for sure.
One final quick question type thing. We're the Per 36 podcast, so we wrap up with a Per 36
Don't say
All-Star.
36 questions, but I don't know. I can't.
Yeah. We're gonna go 36 rapid fire questions, 5 minutes each.
36 minutes each. Yeah.
No, we do a Per 36 All-Star, a la myself, Kuzminskis. So like a bench player. I mean, it doesn't have to be one you covered. That would maybe fit the theme a little better. But any bench player you've had, like any Kuz Copeland type guy that just you've been a fan of over the years.
Yeah, someone that you remember through all your years on Knicks beat that just stuck with you as a guy that you will always kind of root for throughout his career.
Yeah, I mean, I could go just for this year, this offseason. I mean, Damian Dotson, he was such a nice guy, and I really enjoyed talking to him, dealing with him. And I also felt that, his performance on the court, I thought that he showed that, he can do things on both ends of the floor and, with in the right situation, right coaching staff, whatever it is, he can turn into a rotation player. So that's one player that comes to mind, Per 36. Maybe his numbers weren't always phenomenal, but I always felt that, there was something more there than what we were seeing when he was out there, and his role fluctuated, his minutes fluctuated. He always struck me as a player who, if given consistent minutes in the right situation, could flourish. So let's see what he does in Cleveland.
He averaged about 14.5 per 36. Pretty solid for like a defensive guard who could shoot.
Would you say that if there's someone that really got hurt by just changing regimes and management having no connection to a player, it's kind of him because he was such a Phil Jackson guy?
Well, certainly the regimes changing really hurt the players who were drafted previously. I mean, unless you are, it's clear that you are an NBA player and you're going to thrive and you need to be on that roster for that next regime. If you're stuck in that gray area, it's not a good place to be in. And I think Damian was, he survived a few regimes, but because Phil Jackson wasn't the guy moving forward, that certainly hurt him. And Frank Ntilikina too. I mean, you say what you want about Frank and what he's shown and hasn't shown. I think that if he can become a consistent shooter from the perimeter, if he could knock down a perimeter shot, he could make a lot of money in this league. But I think also, the fluctuation with his minutes and his role and, coaches having allegiance to him, not having allegiance to him, I think that has impacted the way his career is going. But again, like the rest of the young guys, make or break year for Frank under Tom Thibodeau, and we'll see how it happens.
Before you go, did you see the Knicks fans' panic attacks on Twitter that happened for like the one night in which they thought that Frank was being traded for Buddy Hield?
I did, yes. There was a lot of angst on Nick's social media, and then I guess he changed his bio.
He changed his bio, and
I don't even think he actually did change his bio. Well, I think that was just seeing his bio being
the
changed.
Knicks had posted a video of him shooting, and then they deleted it, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, he's traded!"
Yeah,
he's traded.
But then they posted a picture the next morning.
Was there? You guys probably don't know, but was there like music in that first video? Or is that why they had to delete it? Because sometimes there's music in the background.
That's a good question. I can't imagine there was, but that's not.
The Knicks addressed it though. Like the Knicks social media addressed it like the next day when they posted.
Well, they just posted a picture of him shooting to be like, "Don't worry, he's on the team for now." But also, like, to be real, it is year 4 of Frank, so like, at a certain point, like.
Well, at a certain point, we're gonna have to just, and we're gonna one day we'll just have to accept it when he's thriving in San Antonio, and we'll watch from afar.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and taking this time. This was amazing.
Yeah. Anytime, fellas. Thank you for having me. Next time you put together that fake team account, just shoot me a DM first. I know. I really appreciate that. But
I'll let you in on it. I'll make like a fake Ian Begley account, and you can retweet it, and you'll be like part of the joke. All right. Thank you so much.
Good luck for the start of the season too. With it being
appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Let's do it again soon.
Yeah, would love to. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much.